is a little bit more chill, but also like private kind of. So I was just going to talk a little bit about the Scorpio new moon and how you may have been feeling this in your energy, or just basically sharing my own experience of it, of what, my bad, guys, my own experience of how the new moon in Scorpio has been, basically. So I did some research because I was thinking about karma and karmic lessons and the association between the moon and karma, and like the association between the new moon energy and your subconscious, but also the association between the sign of Scorpio and your subconscious. So the new moon energy in and of itself has more of a focus on the subconscious, because obviously, like, if you think about it, during the new moon, there's a lot more darkness because the moon is, well, at one point you can't see it at all, but it's just a sliver in the sky. So that's why it focuses on the subconscious. And Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, which is the planet of the subconscious, but also the planet of transformation. So I was just thinking about all of this and how Scorpio is all about, our shadow aspects, and the new moon is also about that. So this new moon could be pretty intense for those of you who are healing or focused on doing inner work or in tune with your emotions, because the new moon, it might bring a lot to the surface. It might bring a lot, emotionally speaking, to the surface, but also things within your subconscious that you have not dealt with. This could be like deep rooted or deep seated beliefs, internalized beliefs about yourself from childhood, or aspects of yourself that you have not healed or fully looked at. This could also involve basically just parts of yourself that you haven't looked at or haven't fully healed coming to the surface. So you may find that you're very emotional around this time, or just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like reality coming to the surface, because it's forcing those buried deeper parts of ourselves that either we don't want to look at or haven't fully looked at. Like I said, it pushes them to the surface, the energy of how everything is aligned right now, in particular the moon. So it's like, it's definitely, for me, has brought certain things to the surface, like deep seated, deep rooted beliefs about myself and how it's driving my behavior. And that's what you guys might find too, is that stuff might be coming to the surface, emotions, or even like fears, triggers, you know what I mean, are coming to the surface. And the new moon energy should help you to be able to basically discern or decipher those, or it's a good time to work on delving deeper into that stuff and really figuring out your own subconscious motives behind why you're doing all of the things that you're doing in your everyday life right now, like the relationships that you're a part of, the job that you have, like what parts of yourself have you basically believed and listened to and bought into that have put you in the position you're in now. So if you're in a job where you're not treated well, or you're micromanaged, you're disrespected, whatever, this is just an example, what might be coming to the surface is those fears or those internalized beliefs about yourself that you're not good enough, or that you don't deserve a better job or work environment than this, or you don't deserve to be in a better position than this, stuff like that, or if you're in a relationship that is not healthy, it could be bringing certain things to the surface surrounding that. Like, why are you continuing these patterns? Like, it's supposed to basically really highlight karmic patterns of behavior that have not yet been healed, that need to be looked at. So whatever patterns you're repeating, not only in romantic relationships, but also in money, in your job, etc. But the big focus would be on relationships. So where in your relationships do you feel like you are, like, what parts of yourself do you feel like are driving your desire to be with certain people or around certain people or with a certain person? Is it the part of yourself that a traumatized part of yourself that was taught that you don't deserve better? Or, it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but it's basically looking at shit like that. And what karmic patterns, which are basically just patterns of behaving that you picked up in your karmic family of origin, and what patterns of those are you still allowing to drive your behavior today? Because that's, like I said, that's what the focus is on. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about, so I did a little bit of research on Scorpios because I wanted to know the association between Scorpio and karma, and also like karmic lessons, because I was really strongly feeling that theme coming on within myself, because like there were these parts of myself that were coming up, or these feelings, and it was just like, where the fuck is this coming from? And it's like, it really highlights the areas that you need to work on, essentially, or those parts of yourself that are most vulnerable. That stuff could be coming to the surface surrounding secrecy, fears, like your deepest fears about life or yourself could be coming to the surface right now too. And the objective is to be with those emotions and also dive deeper into it, and look at, okay, how is that belief impacting the way that I'm operating in life? And not only that, but what can you do to heal that or transform that? What can you do to heal those parts of yourself so that, and heal those karmic patterns so that you can complete these karmic lessons, so that you can move forward into having that transformation and growth, and what was I going to say, not allowing those shadow aspects of yourself to hold you back from living out your destiny, basically. And yeah, so it's like you have to complete certain karmic lessons in order to get in order to like manifest what you desire. And so that's why the new moon focus is focusing on these shadow aspects of ourselves, because the reality of it is everything we manifest has to do with how we feel about ourselves and what we believe about ourselves. And Scorpio, interesting sign, because on one hand they're very emotional, but they don't like to make themselves vulnerable, and so there's always this like constant power and control struggle going on inside of a Scorpio that hasn't fully healed. And it's always like, oh, like, how much of myself do I give? I don't want to give too much, because really Scorpios are very vulnerable emotional signs, and they're very loyal, actually. And so they're kind of strategic though, and like, I hate to say it, but they can come off kind of shady in their approach to things. They're definitely not the most direct. And that's part of their karmic lesson, though, and their karmic path is to learn how to trust others more so that they can make themselves more vulnerable so they don't come off being so fucking shady. Okay. And being, in the shadow aspect of themselves, like creeping around. Like, I don't know if, okay, in my own experience, a lot of the Scorpios I've come across, that's how they act. That is how they act. It's kind of like they're creeping around, it's like, but that's why it's so important to look at these patterns that could be surfacing right now during this new moon energy and looking at, what areas of my life am I acting like that? Am I like creeping around and not really wanting to directly look at, but kind of like hinting at, or, like, so yeah, I feel like looking at those parts of yourself and not being afraid to embrace those parts of yourself. Because, yeah, that's kind of how Scorpios operate. That's why they come off that way. They come off shady because they don't trust other people. They think other people are shady. So essentially, Scorpio Scorpio kind of has a complex. I think an unhealed Scorpio can do quite a bit of projecting if, their own shadow aspects aren't looked at or worked on. But yeah, so the new moon, we're still in the energy of it. And the reason I wanted to do this video is because I knew this was going to be intense, but then when I started thinking about it more, it's like, man, it's new moon energy and it's Scorpio. So, it's been intense for me emotionally speaking, but also just becoming aware of certain things that, like, I don't know, there was one point where I was like, I can't get back to that point. It's so weird. I don't know how to explain it. It's not, sometimes it's just like I'll be thinking about things or thinking about the new moon energy or thinking about, like earlier today, it happened and I was able to get to the root of the feeling, but it was odd because it was like I couldn't really stick with it. So that leads me to believe that it's something that's like at my core, it's so foundational within me that it's hard for me to access it anymore, which is why I was only able to access it for a split second, because some of the shit that I've been traumatized by has been, so these beliefs have been so deeply ingrained in me that, and it's basically telling me that's what the purpose of the new moon is, to kind of dig deeper into these internalized beliefs about ourselves that we adopted from wherever we grew up. And a lot of times these internalized beliefs, if you were traumatized or abused, are obviously bullshit. So, but it's tough to get to those places. And a lot of times we just see these subconscious patterns playing out in the choices we make in life or the partners that we choose in life. You know what I mean? It's not like we're saying like, oh man, wow, that person, yeah, they're abusive and that's looking real sexy to me, so I'm just gonna come on over here, abuser. It's like, no, nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. It's more so like seeking something outside yourself that has not been resolved within, and that's where it needs to be resolved. And that's what the new moon energy focuses on, is having you look at these areas of yourself that they're incomplete, they're unresolved, and these are areas that a lot of times we seek people to fix for us in relationships. And that is also part of the like karmic lessons of a Scorpio, basically, is like, on one hand, I don't even know how to really put it. But yeah, it's like, it's kind of hard to access those parts of yourself. And I think that is definitely true the older you get too. Because I think we get to a place in life and we're like, we get there and it's like, how did I get here? And it's like, well, that's how you got here. Um, your subconscious. And yeah, that's why it's important to work on those things, like I said, and change those beliefs about yourself. I'm still in the process of doing it myself. I'm not sure at this point. I can't really vouch for or say whether it's something that 100% goes away. I do think, though, awareness around it and also challenging it, you know what I mean? And I think it's also looking at just the actions you're taking, being more cognizant of the actions you're taking and asking yourself, am I making this decision based on an unhealed void within myself, or am I making this decision based on the fact that I know this is good for me and this is what I truly deserve in the eyes of the divine? You know what I mean? And I say in the eyes of the divine because if you've internalized this belief that you don't deserve more, there's the chance that you could trick yourself there. So that's why I put that in there, because it's like, nobody deserves to be mistreated, really. But some of us have internalized that we do. And so a lot of the life decisions that we make are based around that fear that we might not be good enough, and so we pick partners or pick jobs that reflect that back to us, and so that's what I'm talking about with the projections with an unhealed Scorpio, where it's like, that's why the vulnerability is important on the Scorpio's part too. Because otherwise, I mean, that's the illusion of the moon, that's what's coming up to me. And that's why new moons are important, because, when you get quiet and still, that's when the things come up. That's when the awareness comes up, That's when those buried aspects of yourself surface. In your darkest times, when you're alone, quote unquote, alone. So here's some of the things that I wrote down. So I was doing some research on Scorpios because I'm like, there's something here about karmic lessons, completion of karmic lessons. The point is, the urgency of this new moon focuses on and looks at, have you healed these parts of yourself so that you can manifest what you want? Because like I was saying before, it's, you manifest based on what you feel is possible, or you believe is true, or believe is possible for yourself. You know what I mean? So when you're manifesting, that's why it's important to have these parts healed, because otherwise your manifestation is going to be incomplete. It's going to be a reflection upon what's going on internally. And if you have not healed that wound of recognizing that, hey, you have worth regardless of whether anybody wants to say you do or not, okay? Whoever the hell brought you here, I think of it like this. It's not easy to carry a baby for 9 months and then push that thing out. I'm not speaking from personal experience. I would just imagine that's the case. Any person who did that clearly gives enough of a fuck about you to do that. And so that in and of itself points to your worth and value, because somebody said, hey, you know what? I want this person here. They wanted you here because you have worth and value to them in some way, shape, or form. Even the nutsos, even the nuts ones. I'm serious, because maybe there was a non-nuts one attached to that nutso, or maybe not. Maybe the universe simply wanted you here to teach a certain lesson surrounding your family of origin and your upbringing, that other people could gain hope and inspiration and wisdom from. I definitely know that's why I was brought here, because, I'm not sure what the nutsos were thinking, but I know what the universe was thinking, and that's all that matters to me. And that's, I mean, because not being able to embrace that is because there's some type of fear or doubt that's been placed in your heart and your mind about who you are. You know what I mean? There's been some fear and doubt placed there. Could be by society, probably from your family of origin, even if it was accidental. Humans aren't perfect, and a lot of humans aren't very emotionally intelligent, and therefore that's why a lot of people are fucked up. And so my point in saying all of this is to say that I think this new moon is all about creating awareness surrounding those dark places that we don't typically look at. You know, why are you making the decisions that you're making? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you where you're at right now in life? Why did you make those decisions that got you there? Were they healthy decisions? Was it based on self-love? Was it based on loving and caring for the other person involved? Or was it based on fear? Fear of losing control, fear of growth and change, fear of vulnerability. Starting to sound familiar to you, Scorpios, huh? Here's the thing. That's one of the things I wrote down. Scorpios, because I was doing research on it, Scorpios are associated with karma related to transformation, regeneration, and control. So transformation, Scorpios are said to be on a path of transformation and rebirth. Their karma is to help others by guiding and teaching them. Regeneration. The regeneration part is Scorpios are said to have difficulty letting go of old patterns and embracing change. Okay, so that's why this is being brought up with the new moon energy, because again, you know, it's that stubborn, stuck energy of these parts of ourselves that we have not healed and have been left stagnant within us energetically, which is why we continue to repeat the same behaviors, the same patterns, and why change doesn't occur. So control, the next part is control. Scorpios may have karmic baggage related to control and secrecy. And their karma is to learn to let go of their need for dominance and embrace vulnerability. Okay. So that's all of these things I'm reading to you right now is basically, it's about what Scorpio's karma or like karmic lessons are, but specifically it's surrounding this new moon, and basically it sums up the theme of the new moon, which is this is the objective. All these things I'm reading that Scorpios are said to do is the objective of the new moon, is the objective of what you should be doing to look at yourself and your areas of baggage. Okay, so this is not to call out Scorpios. This is just to say that this is the energy of the Scorpio new moon that we're in, and these are the things that need to be looked at or that are being brought to the surface to be healed. Okay, Scorpios may have karmic baggage related to control and secrecy, and their karma is to learn to let go of their need for dominance and embrace vulnerability. So this essentially basically is saying, which is the same word, it's letting go of what was I going to say? Letting go of the need to, that's not what I was going to say, but let me see if it comes back. It's completely slipping my mind. But anyway, their karma is to learn to let go of their need for dominance and embrace vulnerability. That's what I was going to say. Ego. The objective is to let go of the ego, okay, and embrace vulnerability. Embrace your emotions. It's okay to let go and just like feel how you feel. and be honest and transparent about it, you know? So that's what this is all about. So trust is another thing here. Scorpio's karma is to build trust in relationships and recognize that true power comes from self-awareness and transformation. So, yeah. I don't know how that necessarily applies, but lessons, temptation, distraction, desire, secrets, and unconscious motives. So that's what this is all about, is looking at these unconscious drives, these unconscious behaviors, or not behaviors, unconscious drives behind these behaviors that we have. And looking at like what has held us back from facing that. Like, what are we afraid of? You know, what is so scary about looking at these aspects of ourselves, or what is so scary about looking at the truth, which is a lot of these subconscious programming things are lies, you know? Like, what is so scary about that, other than the fact that you'll be able to live a more full life? Maybe there's a fear that it won't actually happen, and so it's just kind of like this self-fulfilling prophecy. But maybe it's just scary to let go of it because I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to see. Yeah. So that's what it's about, and what might be happening, or might be resurfacing. So, you know, I'm pretty sensitive to energy, so I don't know. I just kind of I spend a lot of time by myself and in quiet. And so like stuff like this just kind of comes to me when I'm on my own, as far as like coming to understanding about the meaning of the new moon. Like, I did some research today, but typically I don't do a whole lot of research. I kind of just see what comes up. Like, I do a little bit of research to see the energy of the sign or whatever, to kind of get the gist of what's going to go on, but then I just let it play out and see what comes up in me. And that's how I decipher like what it's about, if that makes sense, because it like comes through me, and then like I do the healing myself, or like tap into that myself, and then that's how I'm able to figure out the objective, you know? So that's basically what I figured out. I think that's why Scorpio is such a difficult sign sometimes, or complex, because I don't know, they're not like, I was going to say, because Cancer's not even that transparent. A lot of the water signs, actually, all of the water signs are not completely transparent. They're kind of like strategic, but it's because they're emotionally intelligent, because they're water signs, so they're more in tune. Anyway, it's all the water signs have a weird way sometimes of dealing with their emotions, but I'd say Cancers are typically the most nah, maybe even Pisces might be even more straightforward than Cancer, to be honest with you. Because Cancers can really, they're kind of like Scorpios when you fuck with them. You know, they close off, and it's good luck. I mean, Pisces is a fish, you know? So, I don't know. Maybe they're easier to manipulate. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. But yeah, that's really the main thing I wanted to talk about, is just that's the energy that's been around and what's been coming up. And so I think just taking time to journal, or just be with yourself and tap deeper into those emotions that come up and question them a little bit, like, how is this playing out in my life? Or how are these fears or these internalized beliefs that I'm not good enough, how are they playing out in my day-to-day life? Or how is this leading me to make choices in relationships that are harming myself or other people? Or, shit like that. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna walk, and I'm also gonna do, oh my God. I'm also gonna do a Cancer tarot reading for the new moon in Scorpio energy, just because I think, because the reading is basically looking at like self-reflection, like what needs to be self-reflected upon, what's going on that needs to be self-reflected upon, like as far as thoughts and behavior, and then what needs to be looked at within the subconscious or brought to the surface, and then emotionally speaking, what needs to be looked at. And I think that's just a good reading in general to do, but definitely since we're still in that energy, I'm going to do that and just look at what needs to be worked on. And then I'm going to do more readings after that too, but that's the one I'm going to start with. Yeah, that's the main one I'm going to start with. But I mean, I don't know. I don't have all the answers as far as how to fully heal from some of these things, other than literally just like going against the grain of like where you end up, if that makes sense. So if you end up in an unhealthy relationship, like get the fuck away from it, just like go to the other extreme of, because it really is about recognizing. The completion of the lessons is about recognizing these things within yourself. It's about mastering your own self, your own mind, your own thoughts, your feelings, your behavior. That's what the tarot is all about, at least to me. It's about mastering these parts of ourselves that need healing. And so I don't know where the fuck I was going with that. But yeah, I mean, basically with the energy, I think I'm basically just saying I don't fully know how to heal some of these things myself yet. I'm still in the process of figuring that the fuck out, Um, but like I said, going against and just like recognizing, mastering these parts of yourself. That's what I said, recognizing these parts within yourself. I seriously think I lose my train of thought sometimes just for the simple sheer fact that I know I'm being listened to and watched, and I get like social anxiety. It's weird. So that's why I feel like I just like lose my train of thought, because I know, I mean, yeah, I'm sure the weed doesn't help with it, y'all, but I really genuinely think it's more so like, I start thinking about the fact that people are listening to what I'm saying, and then I'm like, oh shit, don't think about that. That's called metacognition, I think. Who cares, right? All these labels and terms, and who gives an F? So yeah, I think it's just about recognizing these things within yourself and knowing that you have worth regardless of external validation, not trying to seek it from anywhere else or anyone else. And also recognizing that no matter what anybody says about you, you still have worth and value. I mean, I don't know, shit, like, that's a stretch. I don't want to go there because I just, anyway, I was gonna say, like, basically that we all I got way too deep in my thought about it. And then that's like, my bad. I've been following this news story about this little girl in Detroit, and I'm not going to talk about it because it's like this is the one trauma thing that like I have not experienced it myself, so it's awkward for me to talk about. It freaks me out. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't even know. I mean, the thought of it is just the thought that that could happen to someone, and all that's like, I'm sorry. I just I can't even fathom that. Like oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry guys, a little bit of secondary trauma going on, but like I've just been following this news story, and then I was like trying to apply what I was saying to that, and I was like, whoa, no, that just doesn't apply. But then I was thinking like it does kind of apply, because basically what I was thinking was this guy, he was horrible. I guess I'll tell you what he did maybe in a second, but he did something really horrendous to a child, and I was thinking to myself that like even he like somebody sees him as being worthy in the world, and I'm like, oh, that's a reach. Like, who's gonna look at that and think that? Even I don't even it's hard for me to have empathy, to think that someone like that could have any type of value in the world. But if you think about it, I mean, the guy's a father. He did have value and worth before he did the disgusting shit that he did. But again, it's decisions that we make too that impact or maybe reflect upon our character. And I think who we are is not even necessarily the decisions that we make. I think over time it is, but I think it's in a general sense throughout your life, what has the pattern been, And so I think I was just saying that, man, and you know what? I don't know what is going on, but like I think I was maybe tapping into, could possibly be just my own feelings about it, but it felt a little bit more intense than that. Just like the thought of the emotional like trauma and pain that someone would have to hold going through a trauma like that. Like that's what I was feeling when I was talking, if that makes any sense. Like when you've been through a lot of trauma and pain, like you can start to feel it physically in your body. It's kind of like this tense, uncomfortable, like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird, I don't really know how to describe it. Usually I feel it like in my shoulders and my upper back area or whatever. But basically what I'm saying is, as I was thinking about that, I was just like channeling into just things, I don't know, and also just feeling the pain of how I feel for that child. It's just, I can't even, it's just, I can't wrap my head around it. So yeah. Yeah, I think it's just looking at some of these traumas and feeling how it feels when you think about the things that happened to you, you know what I mean? Or going back to like what could have led me to develop these beliefs about myself? Like what did people tell me growing up that led me to believe these certain things about myself, which have led me to make these decisions, to like these unhealthy decisions, whatever they may be in your life. What did people tell you about yourself? Or if they didn't tell you directly, how did they treat you, which told you something? You know what I mean? What happened to you? Did these people not protect you in the way that they should have protected you? And how does that feel? How did that feel? And how does that reflect in your relationships now? Probably makes you very needy, I would imagine. Because if you don't feel safe in the world, then you're looking for a place to feel safe in the world. And somebody like that is always going to come off as having a need. And that's dangerous in the world we live in, because people pick up on that, especially when you're young, and they take advantage of it. Ask me how I know. So, my point is, looking at those parts of yourself and looking at what you needed but were not provided for. This is basically like doing inner child work. What did you need as a child that was not provided? And how can you provide that to yourself now without seeking out other people or external validation to do so? Just by sitting with yourself all alone. I'm going to have to go back and listen to this myself and write some of these questions down because there's no way I'm going to remember this. I don't remember it now. Thank you, universe. I'm snapping for the universe because they're helping me channel some really good shit here that is going to benefit me later, and I appreciate my gift and appreciate and am grateful for what the universe has provided me with to allow me to heal. Yeah, what am I trying to say? You know, if you ever get like a feeling of weakness too, this may be specific to someone because like sometimes I weirdly, very specifically pick up on stuff for people, especially when they're in the chat or whatever. If you start to feel a feeling of weakness or lightheadedness, or your body just physically feels weak, that can be a sign of like a lot of trauma being stored in the body or fatigue in general. But yeah, especially if physically speaking, you start to feel like weak or just heavy, you know, or like energetically, it just feels like I can't really describe the feeling myself. I keep trying to, but like I said, it's just like emotional pain, but it like it's how it manifests physically. And so it's just kind of like I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, so maybe somebody needs to know that that's the trauma that you've been through. It's stored, gets stored in your body. That's why it's important to heal. And one of the best ways I've found to heal that is exercise. That's why I exercise. I stay outside. I stay moving, not to distract myself, but to release the energy, the stored energy, the trauma, the over arousal of my nervous system. I'm trying to bring it back to balance, you know? So, yeah, I think it's like Scorpios are afraid to make themselves vulnerable because they're afraid of getting hurt. But, you know, it's kind of a catch-22 for them because what's crazy is what ends up happening if they're really unhealed is then they just come off as shady, and then they end up like sabotaging the situation either way. You know what I mean? It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, oh, I'm not going to make myself vulnerable, but in doing so, I'm going to make myself look shady. And then because I'm making myself look shady, it's going to make this other person think that I'm a shady motherfucker. And then they're going to act accordingly, which is either by running away or joining in on the energy with you. Oh, you want to be a shady motherfucker? Okay, I'll be a shady motherfucker too. And then what happens is, oh man, now I can't trust you, says the Scorpio. I can't trust you. You just did the same thing to me I was doing to you, bro. And it's like, makes no sense, Scorp. Makes no goddamn sense, because if you would have just made yourself vulnerable and said, hey, you know what, I'm doing this to you because I'm hurt and I'm seeking revenge, and sting, 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 ooh, okay, Like that's all Scorpio has to do is like just be honest and they could like live a happy, fulfilled, normal, balanced life. But the problem is that, like I said, that pattern I just said, typically that might be what carries out because, you know, if you're being shady about stupid shit, which no offense, but Scorpios tend to be, and I have even gotten word from somebody I know that is with a healthy Scorpio that puts up with the same thing. It's like, oh, I'm not telling you. Like, hey, what are you doing after work today? Going to the store? Oh, for what? I'm not telling you. Oh, okay. Like, what store are you going to? I'm not telling you. Yeah, no, I'm not telling you. It's like, what? You are weird. Scorpios are weird. Like, I'm not gonna let, they're weird. They are weird. They do weird shit like that. And when my stepsister told me that about her husband, he's a Scorpio. I'm like, oh my God, I've literally dealt with the same shit. It's like, oh, I'm not gonna tell you where I'm going. I'm gonna keep some mystery 10 years into the relationship. Like, nobody wants mystery 10 years into a relationship. It's not cute at that point. At that point, it looks like cheating, you fucking weirdo. People are, ugh, Scorpio people are just, I love female Scorpios there, though. No problem there. No problem with female Scorpios ever. They're cool. Very cool. But male Scorpios, they can be a challenge. Okay, I'll just put it that way. But either way, yeah, that's kind of what plays out. They're their own worst enemy, the unhealed ones, and they don't even realize it. They fuck themselves over. They self-sabotage a lot because of those types of behaviors, because it confuses people. It's like, huh? You're not even going to share like what you ate for dinner, but you want to like get married or you want to like live together? Like you're weird. Like, you know, it's kind of that vibe. You just got to let them be them. Do you? Yeah, do you? Uh, but yeah, it's kind of weird. Um, but yeah, the objective is to make yourself vulnerable by looking at um, your own. Let me reword that. Like the internalized beliefs. I just keep going back to that. The internalized beliefs, what you truly believe about yourself, which probably has nothing to do with anything that's real and probably has everything to do with just a bunch of shit that people told you. People who, shit, who knows if you even like them anymore, right? Or respect them, at least. Think about that too. Some of these, you know, if you have abusive family members or you've had, you know, shitty people who say shitty shit about you. Any human beings had that. It's like, huh, consider consider the source. I feel like I'm just rambling at this at this point, but I mean, because the main objective of what I wanted to say, I really got out. But like, also, if other stuff comes up, that's cool too. I just know this new moon has been really interesting. And I really should be diving deeper into it. Oof. Space runs. Space runs. Yeah. But yeah, it's just like, and so I guess basically we can learn from Scorpios in that way as far as the self-sabotage goes. Because it's like, that's why it's important to look at these things and make yourself vulnerable so that you don't self-sabotage. Learn from Scorpio, and Scorpio needs to learn these lessons too. But either way, you can learn from it, whether they're healed or unhealed, really. Scorpios are very powerful, you know, but it's just their energy can be very confusing when it's unhealed. Yeah. I just feel like somebody, like there's been someone in here for sure who's been through a lot of trauma, or somebody who's been coming in and out of the chat or something like that. Cause like I keep picking up on that energy, that feeling. And when I get that, I don't know what that's, I think that's clairsentience. Anyway, you like feel the other person how they're feeling. And so I was picking up on somebody who's been through like a crazy, I don't want to say crazy, I'm trying to explain, like, it's a lot. It's some pretty intense trauma, and this person needs to um, process and also find ways to like feel and release the trauma that's stored within, that's keeping them maybe stuck in certain ways. That's what I've been feeling. Just pay attention to, when you're sitting by yourself and you're like just trying to see how you feel how, like, go throughout your whole body and just kind of scan it, like, especially your upper back and shoulders and that area. Like, where are you holding holding tension at in your body? That shows you where it tells you more about the trauma, basically. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to eat, to be honest with you. Okay, maybe that's something else too. Someone may, like, this is a thing too, is like trying to find comfort from external things, people, places, things, food, objects. That's made me want to say that, just because, like, sometimes that can be a thing too, a maladaptive way to cope. To distract away from what doesn't feel good, is doing something that feels good. And it's like, nah, that's not going to help you heal. What's going to help you heal is being with the discomfort of how the trauma feels, or how the anxiety feels, or how just being with yourself feels, really looking at, like, do you like yourself? Do you like yourself? Do you like who you are as a person? Do you like the decisions you've made? If there's decisions you made that you haven't liked, just looking at that deeper. What was the motive behind those decisions? What was unhealed that led to those decisions? That's the objective. And people really don't understand the importance of healing this type of stuff. Epigenetics is a thing. And if you haven't healed these things within yourself, you literally pass them down in your DNA to your children. So for all of y'all out there wanting to say, oh, no, I had a traumatic relationship with the other parent of the kid, and my wounds weren't healed when the baby was born, this other person's emotional wounds weren't healed, but yeah, no, that baby's gonna be fine. Yeah, okay, no, I'm sorry. You've got to heal those wounds before you pass that DNA on, so that baby is probably going to have similar struggles. I mean, it's literally science, epigenetics. It's like, that's why it's important, like I said, to heal these things and these beliefs about ourselves, so that we don't pass them on to our children, so it becomes their fucking burden. The good thing is, if you heal it within yourself, even if you pass it down, you can help your child work through it, if you're aware of it. And these are just beliefs about ourselves, core beliefs that we have about ourselves, like that we're worthy, or that we deserve to take up space and to exist and to have needs and wants. You know what I mean? We're not a burden, stuff like that. You're not a burden, shit like that. So, I just think it's really important, and that's why I personally have not had, that's one of the biggest reasons. I know I told you other reasons of why I haven't had kids, but that's one of the reasons as well. I'm not about to I am not about to go into parenting or parenthood or whatever being unhealed, and also I've got to heal that stuff within myself so I can pass down the healed version. Yeah. Because like if you don't have self-worth or confidence, your child picks up on that, and then they don't learn to develop it within themselves. That's why you have to cultivate it within yourself so that you can help them cultivate it within themselves. That's why all this stuff is important. Emotional intelligence is important, much more important in my opinion than material things. I think that it's still a trauma not to have material needs met or financial needs met. Definitely still a trauma. But I will say that emotional traumas placed on children or things related to emotional traumas are extremely difficult to heal. I mean, it's like, yeah. But it's possible to heal quite a bit. I mean, I've healed a lot. I've also spent like my entire life working on that though. So, you know, well, not my entire life, but about 75% of it, I would say. Maybe a little less than 75%. I'm not good with numbers though, so I round up. Just kidding. Oh man, hilarious. You are just hilarious. So it's like, and it's also like learning to enjoy your own company like this. Like, you guys, I don't turn the chat on for a reason. I'm an introvert. I don't mind hanging with people, we're hanging right now, but I don't want to chit chat with peeps. It's just not my thing. I do it all week long, to help people heal, but yeah, part of healing too is just like being in your own element, honoring your own wants and needs, and enjoying your own company. And also, like, having a YouTube channel is a good way to face your fears and like get more comfortable with yourself, because again, like I said, you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position, and learning, seeing the value in it and watching as that is produced and you know grown, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, like, this is anxiety provoking, but I just do stuff anyway. My whole job is anxiety because I'm an introvert, so like every time I have to get on, I'm like, I have to interact with a human being. Here we go. But I'm like, you know what, this person needs this, this is, so here we go. And I just look at the objective of it. I'm gonna go walk outside. I'm gonna stay on this thing though. I have to get food after this, but I don't know what to get. I was thinking like something healthy, but that sounds so boring. But see, sometimes the best decisions that you need to make in life are the boring ones. You know what I'm saying? Like, meaning not everything you choose has to be like stimulating, or it's like sometimes things are just necessary to do. um It's not just all about feeding the ego, you know. So, greens feed the heart chakra. I don't know why that just came to my mind. That makes sense. I feel that literally. I can feel the energy of it. Wow. It's light. It's nice. Dang. Vegans must be feeling good. They're like walking around here. Woo! That's why that lady thought that she could feed her baby a vegan diet. And you guys, don't ever feed your baby a vegan diet. She killed her baby. She killed her baby. This lady killed her baby, feeding her baby a vegan diet. And also, don't feed your baby water, okay? Do not feed your baby water. They'll die. I have no clue why. Just Google it. Googs it. Yeah, did you hear that the new terminology in 2024 is Googs it? That's the cool thing to say. That's what the Gen Zs are saying. Just kidding, guys. Don't listen to what I'm telling you or else you'll embarrass yourself. I would have no clue what the Gen Zs are saying. Well, I might have a little bit of a clue because I talk to them, you know, in my job and stuff, but like, I don't know. Nothing stands out. It's all about eating and cooking these days. Oh man, she ate. Oh girl. Shit like that, you know. It's cooking. Oh no, is that an animal? Oh my gosh, my eyes are so bad. What is that? Oh my gosh, my eyesight is so bad. It was not a living thing. Man, it's cold out here. I don't think I can last out here very long, peeps. Shit. Now the real cold is... The real cold is setting in. Like, in general. God, I'm cold. There's where I found that puppy, Sweetie. Oh, God. I'm too cold. And then it's like, I don't know what to eat. I need to go back. It's too fucking cold. Alright. I'll be back.